We're here at NoteExpo 2023, and I have the good fortune of being able to take a little bit of time from Brett and Richard, founders of Paperstac. So thank you guys for taking the time to share a little bit about your platform, but I'd like to take a second to really get a chance to know you guys a little bit and kind of your background and kind of how you got here, if you guys don't mind. So Brett, a little bit about your background on, kind of what have you done? How did you get into maybe the note business, the note space, or real estate for that matter?
This guy. Well, it just was a chance, weird thing. Ran into him at a grocery store, and I've known him. I went to college with Rick, and then I ran into him one time after college at some event, and then
really,
yeah, legit. I was on the other side of town where
Florida.
Yeah, I live in Florida, and my daughter was at her dance studio, and I had a froggy backpack on, and so I was like in there with her, and I had her backpack on. And someone walked behind me and goes, "Nice backpack." And I was like, "What the hell's that?" And I was like, "What are you doing over here?" It's like, "I live over here. What are you doing over here?" And I was like, "I'm over here for her dance studio." And then he's like, "You're in tech, right? You do stuff in," I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I got something I need you to check out." And so that was it. And I went there and saw it. And I got tired of doing like marketing for different people. And like, you kind of work yourself out of a job. You create it, make them successful. And they're like, "We don't need you now." You build our business, we're good. And so then I was like, I wanted to be a part of something, and he was making this, and that was it. It was 2014, and
wow.
And then I just came, and I basically he didn't know what I wanted, and I just said, "I want in. I want this looks cool." And at that time, there was a lot of notes that were coming, like a year before. It was around somewhere around there where Obama's like, "Well, I'm not going to be the president that forecloses on the nation, liquidate this stuff." So it was all coming, and it was out at that point. But
yeah,
I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this." And so yeah, we didn't make money for years. Just kind of like but I stuck with it. And yeah.
Awesome. I didn't know that. That's a pretty cool story. So.
It was super interesting whenever he came in, because we were talking, and he came into the office. I think we bumped into each other like on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday or something like that. And he's like, "I'm going to come into the office on Monday and talk with you." And he came in, and he was there for an hour. And I'm like, after an hour, just talking about investing in notes, talking about, raising capital, talking about Paperstac. I was like, "Brett, what are you doing? I don't know. What do you want? Do you want to buy notes? Do you want to invest?" He's like, "I want to work with you, man. This is cool." And so I remember bringing Brett in, and I said, "I don't know anything about the tech side."
Right.
Though we're developing something, we'd outsourced development to India at that point. I go, "I need you to work with these guys in India and tell me what they're saying. I don't even know," right? We were $30,000 in on this deal. And so he was asking me all these questions, and he was like, I don't think it's very good what's going on right now." And I was like, "Okay, well, I need you to show it to my buddy Mike." And he was a full stack developer, and I'd worked with Mike on another project when I had Investment Homes Direct. And Mike was doing some work developing a really cutting edge real estate platform at the time. And so Brett started talking to Mike and showing him this stuff and showed him the platform, what was being developed. And Mike was like, "Look, there's some real securities issues." I think he called it spaghetti code. And he was like, "Look, you need to really start over. You can't even fix it. You just have to start from scratch." Wow. And I was like, "Okay, are you interested?" And he goes, "Listen, I don't know anything about what you're doing, but the guy you had me talk to is so excited, his hair's on fire." He's like, "I'm in." And so we brought Mike in as a founder, Brett brought as a co-founder, and we had a powerhouse team of 4 that really just started putting our heads together. And I mean, the first thing that they did, because my other partner TJ and I, who had started this, we didn't think too much ahead in the marketing sense. And the first thing they said is like, "We need to change the name," because it was Investment Note Exchange. And there was 2 E's next to each other in there. And they go, "This just isn't going to work." Right. So the very first thing we did is we went to the drawing board, and Paperstac was born. Wow. And so it's been, we launched our first version in 2017. It was, a labor of love to get there. And I was like, "Great, we launched." And then Mike was like, "Okay, we're going to start a rewrite, and we're going to tear it down and do a new one." And I'm like, we just literally just launched." And he was like, "Yeah, but we need to, we saw some areas that we had missed the mark, or some areas like, oh, we could really improve this." Yeah. New technologies were out, which was key. And so that's what we did, Mike. It started rewriting it, and we launched again at NoteExpo in 2018. And ever since then, you know, I spoke a little bit today about innovation and about looking into the past just to understand the future and always looking ahead, trying to innovate. And that's really what we try to focus on, is just changing the industry and not accepting the status quo, not accepting the way things were.
Yeah. You know, that's such an incredible story. And, you know, for me, you know, I first heard you guys at NoteExpo. I think it was might have been 2019, when I heard, you know, Paperstac mention. And the funny thing that you say, you know, we're always trying to innovate. I think the thing with the note industry is it's very lucrative, but very boring because you're dealing with documents and paper, right? It's not the HGTV, hey, look at this pretty thing. It's more of just understanding.
Devil's in the details.
Right, and the details. And I think, like as you mentioned, there are some of the other platforms or other, you know, very limited, and they're just like dinosaurs and just very old school, right? I mean, you guys got a really nice portal.
Thank you. I mean, I appreciate it. I think the industry as a whole it's been around. Buying and selling debt's not new.
Right.
It's been around forever. Right. But this sort of tertiary or secondary market that's in the individuals buying and selling, and not somebody who's running an institutional fund or a family office, it's very new, and it's because of the technology. You know, prior to this, you know, I spoke about everything was manual. You had to have a headquarters. You had to have a team. That's not something you can do if you're an attorney or a doctor. You can't have a team that's also investing in notes when everything is manual. Fast forward to today, there's so much technology available. Paperstac provides, it's very easy to where people can have a 9-to-5 job, and this can be their investment strategy. They can invest with their self-directed retirement accounts. They can invest with their, you know, 401ks, and technology makes it easier. And you know, we have such a great team that Brett does a really good job of getting out and talking to people and knowing where we need to go next. And then Mike, on the other hand, is just an unbelievable developer who he's just got all the chops, and he's made a very complex process. He's taken it and he's simplified it, and he's made it to where it just flows and it just works.
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys have such an amazing portal, and I mean, like, I'll share this, you know, just my personal experience, right? Like the beginning of the year, you know, I was sitting there, and one day I was just like, you know what? I've done, you know, several things. I've done wholesaling, I've done fix and flips, I've done rentals, midterm, short. And I also had done some notes, and I'm like, I really enjoy the notes. Like, you should just go buy a note, you know? Mm-hmm. And literally, I got on Paperstac. I had to create an account, you know, and I went on there, and I was just telling somebody earlier, you know, in the lobby, I was like, I don't know if it was luck or what, but you know, I'm in Texas, so I just focus on Texas because I understand the laws, I understand the market. So I went in there, went in performing notes, Texas, and then I saw this note. It, you know, to me was appealing because it was, you know, $195,000 sales price, I believe, and they put $100,000 down because they had sold their homestead. So,
wow,
you know,
some skin in the game.
There's some skin in the game.
There was some skin in the game, and I was like, I mean, what's the risk here? You know, very little, right? And I was like, okay. And it was 95,000, you know, UPB, and I think they had made one payment, right? But I wasn't worried about, you know, people sometimes get stuck on, oh, it's not seasoned and whatnot. It was like, they put $100,000 down.
Right. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. And I was just really amazed on how efficient your portal is and how it puts everything together. Because I think people that are trying to get into the note space that don't have a team or don't have resources are trying to figure things out on your own. And they get stuck on analysis paralysis. And especially if you got to try to figure out, what documents am I going to need? Mm-hmm. Who do I, you know, figure these out? Am my title company going to figure out that?
Yeah.
They probably don't even know, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that you guys have everything in your portal is just crazy. Like, I was like, we agree on a sales price, and then everything is, you know, done for you as far as that you know, purchase and sale agreement, the allonge, everything that you need, right? And I think you guys are just going to continue to have incredible success because it's so easy to use, and you know, I was just like blown away.
So that's cool. That is cool. It's awesome to hear. And again, I just go back to, like, I feel like I can just say, I get to complain almost and say, man, this is what I hate about it. This stinks. Or how can we fix this? Or what can we do? What if we could do that? And then it kind of goes into the think tank and we all kick it around. And next thing you know, Mike comes to the table and he's like, well, I've got this. And then Brett's like, yeah, well, we could also do this because of what I've heard from, these users and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, it's only as powerful as the founders, that we just have such a good team, but also the users give us such great feedback. I mean, we went out to dinner last night with a group, and just to be able to sit there and I love asking people, what do you hate?
Right.
Don't tell me what you love about it.
Right.
Tell me what you hate about it.
Right.
Tell me how can we get better. And I think having the ability to, because it's your baby, right? Nobody wants to say your baby's ugly,
right.
but you have
yeah.
to. But I want it. I want to say,
yeah.
Tell me what you don't like, and that's what's really great is that we all are open to hearing it, and then we all hear different things. Like I'll hear one thing, and Brett will hear something completely different out of the same sentence, and Mike will hear something completely different. And once you get together and we get back to the room and we can talk about it, we just have a really good dynamic, and it's really made the platform what it is today.
Yeah, and I was mentioning to Brett on that note that I bought, because the seller was kind of in a pinch, and because it was a really good note, and I was like, why would somebody sell this really good note? But he was just a fix and flipper that just got needed some money, because he, just like a lot of people, the market turned. He had 3 or 4 flips. He ran out of capital. He needed to sell it, and he's like, how quickly can you close? I'm like, well, I got the funds. I can close really whenever, 1 to 2 weeks. And I was telling Brett, we actually would have closed a little bit quicker, but I mentioned to Brett, there might have been something that maybe initially, I don't know if it's on there now, but maybe kind of letting the sellers know, like, these are the 6 steps that are going to happen, because what happened is that he needed to sign, I think, something, and and I got busy too, and I didn't pay attention, and I went 4 or 5 days later, he hadn't signed the document until I finally reached out and was like, hey, you need to sign the document so I can get wiring instructions or something. So those type of things, right?
Yeah, it's always good it's always good to hear that stuff, and we try to always constantly improve on it, but that is, it sounds like it worked out well for you.
Yeah, no, and I was just mentioning to you guys earlier too, so that note, it was performing, it's been paying like clockwork, and just last week I sold the note and made a nice profit. I mean, I bought it for 72, I sold it for 84, and I collected, payments for 10 months.
That's awesome. That's
And I know sometimes people look at like these portals, there's no good deals on, some of these,
but they're out there.
They're out there.
You know what's interesting? Somebody asked me today, they're like, they're new to the note space, and they go, well, why would somebody sell a note on your platform? Like, are these all junk notes or trash notes? I'm like, no, there's so many different reasons why people buy notes. Right. They bought it non-performing, they turned it re-performing. They're winding down one of their funds and they just need to liquidate, and this is an easy and transparent way to do it. They bought a piece of real estate for super cheap, and they owner financed it to somebody, and now they're cashing out and they're selling it at a discount. So there's tons of reasons. They're not bad notes.
Right.
They're great. There's tons of great notes.
I just give you the
Are there
examples.
bad notes?
Yeah,
there are. Of course there are.
Right.
There's bad anything, but there's so many good notes on there. If you run your due diligence, which we try to make pretty easy, and we have transparency and security measures like escrow, collateral verification, you can really do deals on there and have some.
I mean, why don't we spend a few minutes just talking really quickly about how that works? Because people are like, how am I going to make sure that I get my money? How am I going to make sure to get that note? And that's the other thing that I was impressed with your portal. It allows least amount of risk, right? Because so somebody decides to sell their note on your portal, Paperstac. They go on there, right? The buyer sends funds to your escrow account.
That's an option for checkout, is that?
Right, as an option, and they have to verify that they've received the collateral package, right?
Yeah, so what happens is, and we've built in a lot of security measures because we want to make it as safe and transparent as possible. It really starts with when somebody goes to sign a document, you have to go through a KYC and an AML check, right? So know your customer, any money laundering check, and that's automated through there. You can't sign into a closing unless you've passed that. So we're collecting, we know who people are, right? It allows us to have a certain degree of confidence that we're having good, legitimate people on there, and not straw buyers or not people that have nefarious intentions.
Right.
once you guys sign the purchase sale agreement and you're well, actually when you're setting up your closing, you have the option of setting it up with escrow and then collateral verification. So what happens is, once you guys fill out all the vesting profiles and you put in the closing data, we generate a buyer invoice. And the buyer invoice basically will have the amount you're supposed to wire. You send that money right to the escrow company. Once funds are verified in escrow, we generate a 2-day shipping label through FedEx and give it to the seller and say, here, ship your collateral file to this third party, which is Casey Wilson right now, and they're gonna go ahead and do a collateral verification. They're gonna get the collateral file, they're gonna scan it, put color scanned copies in there, and then they're gonna look at the mortgage, the note, the title policy, and they're gonna make sure
Everything's in there.
they're gonna make sure that it's there, but they're gonna look at it and say, not only is it there, but is this an original document with wet ink?
Right.
Or do we have a copy here? And then they're gonna provide you a report to the buyer that they get to look at the report, they get to review the scanned color copies, and if they're happy and it checks out with what, I assume at this point, you've looked at the digital version of it and you trust what you verify. If you verify that everything's there, you just sign a disbursement agreement. The seller signs the transfer documents and they sign the disbursement agreement. At that point, what we do, we send the money to the seller and provide another shipping label to FedEx the collateral to the buyer. Then we do something, the final step we do is we kick off the loan servicing transfer by sending emails to the outgoing servicer and the incoming servicer, copy all the participants in it saying, hey, this loan just sold, you no longer have it, you're getting it, here's the pertinent data, you guys take it from there. And then we step back and it goes from there.
I mean, that's just so amazing when you break it down, because I mean, I guarantee you there's so many people that are just still old school right now that they're doing everything, right? They're contacting the servicer, they're trying to figure out, making sure that they got, and everything's just done within the portal. I mean, it's incredible.
It's just I looked at, I come from, I'm a user, right? We built it to scratch my itch. It's like, hey, we're buying and selling debt. Here's the problems I see. Here's the things I'd love to change. Can we do that? And so that's what we built and that's what we did.
No, that's awesome. So, I mean, how can, what would you recommend to somebody that, is interested in starting to maybe buy, or maybe they have a note to sell? How easy is it for them to go on the portal and just?
Well, it's free. It's free to register. Anybody can register. You got to get approved to be a seller. You go through the seller onboarding process, which Brett handles a lot of. And if you're looking to buy, register for an account. Go start looking at notes in our for sale page. Yeah. If you're looking to sell, start with one note. Yeah. And then go from there. Because the one thing that we've noticed is sellers who come on there and they upload 30 loans and put them for sale, they get a bit overwhelmed because we've got over 15,000 registered users.
Boom, 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 so many messages.
So many people asking to buy it. You can imagine if you put up 10 loans and 5 people on each loan submit a bid, you've got 50 messages and you've got 50 transactions. So we've got efficiency tools built in there to handle it, but if you've never done it before, it just becomes overwhelming. And so then we've got other stuff that we've actually just launched in the past week.
That's just so exciting.
It's called Paperstac Dart AI. It's an artificial intelligence suite of tools. It's revolutionizing the space. It's really changing it, and the future is bright. It's awesome.
Yeah, I know, Brett, you were talking about that a little bit about that tool. So let's say, how is it helping people be a little bit more efficient? Is it helping through communication a little bit more efficient?
Like, yeah, we have people that are not English, might not be their first language. That's one instance where it can help out, where someone, I talk to them on the phone, I can tell that English isn't their first language, but they buy a bunch of notes, but sometimes when they type, they're still typing how they're in their mind how they would say it in their native language. So it looks all kind of
confusing.
But they can hit a button now and go whoop, and it rewrites it. We tested it with one of the guy's comments to see if it would work, and what it came back with was like, that's what he means, and then it was like that was really cool. So that's one of the features that I think.
Because you guys probably get some feedback where somebody's like, hey, I'm trying to do this transaction, but is this guy legit? Like, is it a robot?
It's awesome. It improves the writing, the tone, the grammar.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know if you guys know it, but do you guys is it people buy outside the U.S. is investors, on your portal?
We've had notes sold in, because I don't know every single instance, but I know of a number of them. We have Israel, Germany, England, Hong Kong,
Brazil,
and then there's Argentina.
Wow.
Yeah, Argentina, and we have a guy right now. He's somewhere. He lives in Mexico, And so he buys notes. Yeah, they're all over the world.
You guys might start getting a lot more Latin America. As I mentioned, I
Yeah.
have that Latin community where we're educating the Latin community in how to, different aspects of real estate investing. And one of the ones that they're really excited about that we're going to start doing, classes and courses to educate them is note investing, because they're not aware that, that there's this secondary market that, operates and people just do really well.
As long as they have if they can, with Casey Wilson, the cool thing is that was always the kicker. These people, if they keep the collateral with Casey Wilson can sign on anything on their behalf. So the people that are in Israel, we're not shipping the collateral file to Israel.
Right.
It stays at Casey Wilson. So it's like a $10 boarding fee. It's nominal.
Yeah, you have document custodians and people that can sign on your behalf.
I mean, that's something else that I wanted to talk about, highlight for people that are even thinking about. It's like they might, what am I going to be paying to sell or buy a note? And I was like, because I'm used to obviously, real estate space, closing at a title company with title policies and all that, and you're spending thousands. And I was like, the one I bought, like I said, it was $72,000, note, and it was like $500. I don't remember, but it's
720.
720.
720.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's very reasonable. I'm used to the real estate space where I'd pay 6% to a real estate agent.
Right.
And I mean, I was a broker, or I am a broker, real estate broker. So we're like, okay, our goal is always to provide the best product at a price that people are just like, it's a no-brainer, and that we offer so much value that it's like,
I mean, you think,
feel like they're robbing us.
yeah, I mean, because that's the way I think about it, is like, if I were to have an attorney ask him, hey, can you draw up XYZ documents? He may send me a $900 bill for those documents, and you guys provide everything there, and you are doing escrow. Like, it's just a no-brainer, and I mean, kudos to you guys.
Awesome. I'm glad you like it. This is it's like a perfect testimonial.
Yeah, no, this is
good. I mean, I'm just, I'm happy, and that's why I'm excited. Like, it's a very user-friendly portal, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be watching. They're going to jump on there and just, be surprised on how easy it is. And one of the things that, are so exciting is, I always tell people, one of the best skills that you can learn is recognizing a good opportunity. And it's just like that note. I mean, I don't think I spent more than 30 minutes on the portal, and I was like, boom, this is a good deal. I'm taking it down. Yeah. But for some people, they may need some tools. And when it comes to note, it's like, how do I even figure out, or where do I start? And, when you're looking at single family homes, you have Zillow, you have, Realtor, you have some of those, platforms, but with notes, there really isn't anything up until what you guys are talking about, right?
Yeah.
So,
cool, man.
That's it.
So appreciate you guys. I'm sure we'll catch up at a lot of these events, and I'm sure we'll keep following you. So where can people follow you guys?
Well, we've got a YouTube channel. You can always go to YouTube, search Paperstac. Always, free stuff there. You can reach out to us at hello@paperstac.com is the easiest way to get us. That kind of goes to all the founding team, and we get to see those emails. If you're on the platform and you have questions, there's a little orange button down at the bottom. It's direct connect to our chat, and pretty much at all hours of the day, somebody's there to answer questions and guide you in the right space. So, or come to these events. These are always great. Yeah. This is where we get to spend so much time with our users here and getting to, hang out with them, feedback, go break bread, have dinner, and just hang out, and it's great. So it's always good because you're getting education, you get a network. So that's really it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Take
Thank
care.
you for having us.
Thank you.
Yep.